Hello there, Allan McNish is with me answering some more Simraceway User questions, and this is from Ragster. Alan, what's been the highlight of your racing career so far? He says quite nicely.
Thank you very much.
So there's more to come, clearly.
I sincerely hope so. In a very, very odd way, my first ever karting victory in 1982 at a place called Morecambe in the north of England was one of the highlights.
Very glamorous.
It was delightfully glamorous. The circuit was on the side of a hill. It had a hairpin, a straight, a long uphill corner, and then back down to the hairpin. It was extremely technical.
So just a triangle, is what you're saying?
Well, not really. It was more like a big loop than a triangle. But I won, and it was my first win. And I got a nice wee trophy, and I was 12 years old. I was 12. And I got this trophy, and I went home, and I was really proud of my trophy, and I stuck it in the middle of the mantelpiece, and I realised I could win something. I realised I was good at something. I didn't know how or why. I didn't have the mechanics sorted out to understand how to repeat it, or how I actually came to win the race. I just did what I did and won the race. And that had massive significance, because I think the first time you win anything, it's a turning point in your life, in your career. Or certainly it was a big one for me, without doubt. So that was really important. I would say that one race that we've spoken about already tonight was the race at Sears Point in 2000, because that Dindo Capello and I, it was the first year of Audi racing in the American Le Mans Series with the R8, and Dindo and I had a disaster start basically. We finished second year at 12 hours and led for most of it, but then after that it just all went a wee bit wrong. We got to Sears, and Dindo and I remember we sat in Nürburgring in the back of the truck and said, right, we've got to win basically every race from now on in, starting at Sears Point.
You went off at the Nürburgring.
Yes, I know, exactly.
In a very, very wet race.
Well, that was the thing, and it was a 0 points.
Yes.
And that meant we were quite a way behind, not just our sister car, but also quite a few others as well, and so we just had to focus on win. And that win at Sears Point was such a strong performance that it kick-started our season and gave us our first championship.
What about Le Mans in 1998? Massive win, massive race. Well, you've told me before that you perhaps didn't quite appreciate that at the time.
No, I didn't, because it was my second time there. I turned up, drove fast, won the race with Laurent and Stéphane, sprayed the champagne, kissed a few girls, thought, hey ho, this is where we go. Home. And that was it. That's what you do. You turn up and you go and win and you leave.
The world's greatest motor race.
And then all the times that I led Le Mans from then and didn't win, and was in fantastic situations. 2007 we were leading by nearly 3 laps at a pure speed, and it was easy, it was there, and the wheel fell off and bang, that's it, it's gone.
On Dindo's birthday, when Dindo was driving the car Sunday morning.
And that was thanks, I've just got that hollow feeling in my stomach again now you said it. But that was one of the ones that got away, and it reminded me that how important that first one was, but also how difficult it was. And then in 2008, when we sort of pulled the rug a wee bit under Peugeot's feet and got that race win, then I definitely did. I appreciated the other victory without question, in a very different manner.
You looked like you were really drinking that in on the podium that day. You were looking around. I mean, there can't be anything better in the world of motorsport, and I defy anybody at any race anywhere in the world to look down onto that pit lane and see the tens of thousands of people and know that you're the guy standing on top of the podium.
It's amazing, because you're standing up there and there's, like you say, tens of thousands of people, but you can actually pick people out.
Oh, really?
I remember one year picking Dario out, and he was standing next to my wife, and a wee bit of a wave.
That would have been a worry for you straight away.
And you pick all these people out, and it's a sea of people, but you're able to identify so many things about it. It is a massive elation, it's a massive feeling. But in an odd way, I think the best victories are sometimes the ones that you don't necessarily pick off, like the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And also, I have to say, in terms of drives, they're sometimes not the wins.
Yeah.
Because I know from my point of view, some of my best drives have been the ones that maybe got us a second or a third. But it was the effort I had to put in, because I wasn't in a position to win.
Yes.
That I came away thinking, crap, that was a good race.
What about Petit Le Mans, when you put the car off on the warm-up lap and started 2 laps down on everybody else, and then had to fight your way back through? I mean, that was a drive and a half. There must have been. I mean, you've got to berate yourself when you do that, because you don't do things like that. You're Allan McNish.
Yeah, but everybody makes mistakes, and you know, it happened, and it shocked me as much as I think it shocked the left front suspension nose side of the car and everything else that I managed to damage in that particular one.
How hard was it to keep your concentration then after that, when you know, because I know you well enough, and we joke about it now, and I take the mick out of you a little bit for it, but
never noticed.
No, really. But you know, how do you just have to try and forget it and move on?
You have to, because that one was quite hard in 2 ways, because I drove the car back to the pits, and we went straight into the tent. Yeah, bits of it we left. And I got out, I went in and I belted anything in the front of the truck that I could find. I was so angry with myself. And then Dindo and Emanuele, my teammates, came in and said, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "How's it going? Have you seen the car outside? It's in bits. I crashed on the way to the grid." No, and they didn't know. They had no clue whatsoever. And then it was like, oh my goodness, it's off before it started. And so anyway, I got myself back ready, because I had to go back out in the car, and that's part of the regulation. And I was ready to do a double.
So you didn't have a choice?
No. But
in some ways, was that a good thing though?
No, but
straight back on the horse.
They put you straight back in anyway. That's the way we do it. But the clutch rest, I'd broken off in the accident. So Dominic, who's one of our engineers, he was in trying to glue that when I'm sitting in the car, and they're finally putting the pieces together. And the last thing he leaned in and says, "You can't use that for 2 hours because it's not. It'll just fall off. It's not bonded." And it's like, oh my god! So for the first 2 hours, I've got my foot twisted up against a belt, trying not to use it, braking at 4G into the chicane and all through the S's and things like that. And all of these bits and pieces make the story of that particular race, and do make it special. There's no question, because I was proud of what we did as a team to get back from that horrible position I put them in, without doubt. And it made the telephone call to Dr. O'Rourke that bit easier at the end of it.
I bent it,
but we won. And you know, to see the reaction of all the fans' faces and things as well, and around about the podium, it was a special one. But probably, actually, coming back to your question, most special race, Lime Rock 2005. It was the last race of the Audi R8. It was going to retirement, and it won its first race, and Dindo and I wanted it to win its last race. The regulations were totally against us, without doubt. You know, weight penalties, restrictor penalties, the circuit that it was much more difficult than an LMP2, which was, you know, quite powerful and very light at that point. And we pulled off the victory. And crossing the line and giving the R8, which was a car that was so, you know, it was a big part of all of our careers, and Audi's career as well in sports car, and to be able to send it off to, you know, the museum with a final victory was pretty special, I have to say. I was proud of that one. That's
and a race car, don't forget, that had a 5-year career, which is unheard of nowadays. Good answer, Alan, thank you.